Greetings in the name of the Most High Yahuwah and his Son, Yahusha, to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. Brothers and sisters, I am Brother Hiram, and I'm going to be bringing to you another video today, another message from my outreach series, which is entitled, Did the True Israelites Return in 1948? Did the True Israelites Return in 1948? Well, brothers and sisters, that before we get into the scriptures on this matter, that I'm going to be digging in my heels and digging a good foundation because I know what direction this can be taken. And I want to say from the onset that I'm not here on this channel to magnify controversy. I'm here to magnify conversation. I may bring up controversial things, but my aim is to steer it back to conversation. And so what this message is not is that it is not a quote unquote black Hebrew Israelite attack on the Jewish people. Praise Yahuwah. And so by laying this foundation, what I want to show you is that the subject matter I'm going to be dealing with today, that this is something that I did not get from David Duke or Khalid Muhammad or somebody like that. No, this is information that I am getting from Jewish people themselves, and more specifically, their rabbis of a particular group. And this group is the True Torah Jews. This is what they call themselves. And their website is truetorahjews.org. I'm going to include a link to their website and specifically to their mission statement, because I'm going to read to you a quote from their mission statement. And if you get on their site, you could read their whole mission statement. You could go through their articles and commentaries, books, whatever the case may be, just to get a full view of where they're coming from. Now, this is Jewish people. This is their rabbis speaking. I'm going to read this. We also aim to reach out to our Jewish brethren who have never studied the subject of Zionism from a Torah perspective and have only been taught the Zionist side of the story. It is our hope that all of our fellow Jews will soon open their eyes, return to Torah, and reject this ideology that replaces the Jews' age-old hope for G-D's redemption, or I'll say Yah's redemption, with a false redemption in a human-initiated state. So, brothers and sisters, did you hear that? Okay, this is a conflict that is going on within their own community. This is not an attack from the outside. This is going on with a debate going on within their own community. Now, this group, if I remember right, I believe at one time they were called the True Torah Jews Against Zionism, but now they call themselves the True Torah Jews. But brothers and sisters, these are very strong words. I mean, the words false redemption and human-initiated state is used to describe the secular state of Israel by this group that calls themselves the True Torah Jews. Now, also a part of their mission statement, they clearly say that the scriptures oppose the formation of the state of Israel. So you can read it for yourself. I'm going to include the link. And so I laid that foundation just to show that this is a real debate that is going on amongst the Jewish people, and more specifically, their rabbis. And so, brothers and sisters, we as the true Israelites, we're not the only ones out here talking about this. And so we're going to get into the scriptures. But before we do that, I want to say this, that if you like what you're hearing and you want to continue hearing things like this, hearing us answer questions concerning Israelite truth, then please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Remember to hit the notification bell. And also share this. Share this with your friends, share this with your family, share this with other Israelites. Partner with us to be Yah's hands and feet to reach out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Hallelujah. So again, we're asking the question, did the true Israelites return in 1948? And so, brothers and sisters, I'm going to be making 4 points throughout this message, and I'm going to support these points with Scripture. Now, the first point I'm going to make is that Israel, the 12 tribes, will come back as a righteous nation. Yah is going to deal with their sins before they enter the land, and they will come back as a righteous nation. Number 2, that the 12 tribes of Israel, all 12 tribes are going to be gathered together. They're not coming back in 2 phases. Judah's not coming back, and then after 70, 80, 90 years, the tribes of Israel are coming back at that time. That's not how it's going to be. Judah and Israel are going to return together. Number 3 is that the 12 tribes of Israel are going to return from the lands of their captivity, not from lands into which they migrated, but from the lands of their captivity. And then the 4th point I'm going to make is that concerning military action, the only military action that we see connected to the return of the true children of Israel is in Zechariah 12, Zechariah 13, and Zechariah 14. And I'm just giving those references. I won't be going through the scriptures themselves. You could read it for yourself, but there you will find the only military action that we find. So I'll go into more detail about that later. But these are the 4 points that I'm going to be addressing. And so as to the first point, that Israel is coming back as a righteous nation, I'm going to take you to Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel 20. Now in Ezekiel chapter 20, and I'm going to start in verse 30. It reads, "Therefore say to the house of Israel, thus said the Adon Yahuwah, are you defiling yourselves in the way of your fathers, and do you whore after their abominations? When you lift up your gifts and make your sons pass through the fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols, even to this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, declares the Adon Yahuwah, I am not being inquired of by you. And what comes up in your spirit shall never be, when you say, let us be like the Gentiles, like the tribes in other lands, serving wood and stone. As I live, declares the Adon Yahuwah, do not I with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with wrath poured out, reign over you? And I shall bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the lands where you are scattered with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with wrath poured out. And I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples and shall enter into judgment with you face to face there. As I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Mitzrayim, so I shall enter into judgment with you, declares the Adon Yahuwah. And I shall make you pass under the rod, and shall bring you into the bond of the covenant, and purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. So, brothers and sisters, that's a solid witness of what's going to take place in this end time hour, because this has not taken place yet. That the true return of the true children of Israel, that in many ways it's going to parallel the first Exodus, where all of our people were brought out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the land of Egypt, and brought through the wilderness where there was a purging of the rebels and transgressors, and then we entered into the promised land. So there's going to be many parallels. And what we see here is that there's going to be a wilderness experience, however you interpret that. And that there will be a purging of the rebels and transgressors, that Yah makes it clear that they'll come out. They'll come out of the lands where they've been driven, but they will not enter the land of Israel. Hallelujah. Well, brothers and sisters, that I believe it may have been around 2005, that here in these modern times, they say that the first annual so-called gay parade in the so-called Middle East, the first one was in Tel Aviv, over in Israel. And they fought for a long time. You know, the LBGTQ over there, that they fought for a long time to get it in Jerusalem. But because that's considered the quote unquote holy city, they were vehemently opposed. But in I believe it's in 2015, they got their way. And they started having these so-called gay parades in Jerusalem. All right. In fact, there's one of the citizens there is someone, this is one of the ultra-Orthodox, and he was quoted to have said, "This is Jerusalem. This is not San Francisco." Well, brothers and sisters, when the true children of Israel return, nobody's going to have to say that. People like that are not going to slip through the cracks. Yah said they shall not enter into the land. He's going to purge the rebels and the transgressors before they enter the land. So that's my first point, brothers and sisters. Now, second point, the 12 tribes of Israel will be gathered together. So as I said before, it's not going to be the tribe of Judah returning, then 70, 80, 90 years later, the tribes of Israel. No, they're going to come back. They're going to be gathered as one. They're going to come back as one. And to support that, if we could go to Jeremiah chapter 50, it's going to be the first place we go, because we're going to go to a few places to establish that. Now, in Jeremiah chapter 50, first few verses of it, first 3 verses, speak of an event that's going to take place in the end time. And we're going to pick up in verse 4 of Jeremiah 50. It says, "In those days and at that time declares Yahuwah, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Yehudah together, weeping as they come and seek Yahuwah their Elohim. They shall ask the way to Zion, their faces toward it. Come and let us join ourselves to Yahuwah in an everlasting covenant, never to be forgotten." So this is a clear reference to the end time, because if you read through this, this is going to be at a time when Babylon is going to be completely destroyed by fire, like Sodom and Gomorrah. That did not happen in ancient times when the Babylonians were taken by the Medes and the Persians. They were just merely taken over. They were not destroyed with fire. So this has not happened yet. So the second place I want to go to, brothers and sisters, is Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel chapter 37. Praise Yahuwah. In Ezekiel chapter 37, and we're going to begin in verse 18. Praise Yahuwah. In fact, I'm going to, just to expedite the time, I'm going to start in verse 21. In verse 21, it says, "And speak to them, thus said the Adon Yahuwah, see, I am taking the children of Israel from among the Gentiles where they have gone, and shall gather them from all around, and I shall bring them into their land. And I shall make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one sovereign shall be sovereign over them all, and let them no longer be two nations, and let them no longer be divided into two reigns." So, again, now I'm going to go on to verse 23. This is good. It says, "And they shall no longer defile themselves with their idols, nor with their filthiness, nor with any of their transgressions. And I shall save them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and I shall cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I be their Elohim. While David, my servant, is sovereign over them, and they shall all have one shepherd, and walk in my right rulings, and guard my laws, and shall do them." And so Yah said he'll make them one nation in the land, but keep in mind, he's gathering them together. Now he's going to, he's going to join them in covenant with himself. He's going to join us, the true children of Israel, in covenant, in the everlasting covenant with himself once we're in the land, but he's going to gather us together and make us one nation together in the land. But that last part I read, it says that they shall no longer defile themselves with their idols, nor with their filthiness, nor with any of their transgressions. And so what do we see going on in the land of Israel today, about 75 years after the so-called return? That we see that people are still being defiled with their filthiness, still being defiled with their transgressions. Now, it's not just the so-called gay parades. I mean, there are places over in the land of Israel, it's no different than New York, no different than LA, no different than, the Western cities here in the United States of America. You got prostitution, you got crime, just all types of transgression going on over there that has not been purged. And so, thus, my first 2 points. Israel, all 12 tribes, are coming back as a righteous nation and coming back together. Now, third point is that the return of the 12 tribes of Israel is going to be from the lands of their captivity, from the lands of our captivity. It's not going to be from the lands where we migrated to. No, it's going to be from the land of our captivity. That's very significant, brothers and sisters. And so to support that, we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy 30. We're going to read the first 3 verses. It reads, "And it shall be, when all these words come upon you, the barakah or blessing, and the curse which I have put before you, and you shall bring them back to your heart among all the Gentiles where Yahuwah your Elohim drives you, and shall turn back to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey his voice, according to all that I command you today with all your heart and with all your being, you and your children, then Yahuwah your Elohim shall turn back your captivity and shall have compassion on you, and he shall turn back and gather you from all the peoples where Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you." So I will emphasize, he shall turn back our captivity. Now, Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30, and I'm going to start in verse 7. It reads, "Oh, for great is that day, there is none like it, and it is the time of Jacob's distress, but he shall be saved out of it. And it shall be in that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts, that I break his yoke from your neck and tear off your bonds, and foreigners no more enslave them. And they shall serve Yahuwah their Elohim and Daud or David, their sovereign, whom I raise up for them. And you do not fear, O Yaakov, my servant, declares Yahuwah, nor be discouraged, O Yisrael. For look, I am saving you from afar, and your seed from the land of their captivity. And Yaakov shall return and have rest and be at ease, with no one to trouble him." Well, brothers and sisters, the people that came back 75 years ago, back in 1948, did they come back and have rest and ease with nobody troubling them? Is that what's gone on over there the past 75 years? There hasn't been constant conflict, constant war, constant terrorism. Brothers and sisters, praise Yahuwah. But I want to emphasize in this passage, verse 10 particularly, it said that the true children of Israel is going to be gathered from the land of their captivity. Now, one may say, well, it says that it'll turn the captivity, and I don't see you people being slaves in this modern time in America. What you have to understand is the emphasis is the land of our captivity. This was the land where our forefathers were taken as captive slaves, and we're still feeling the effects of that slavery to this day, and there's still practices going on, even here in America, that are very similar to what was going on back then. Because keep in mind now that the laws outlawing slavery, that they said that you couldn't have slavery unless it was punishment for imprisonment. And then look at what they're doing with prisoners today that are primarily Israelites. They're using them for slave labor. And there's even countries around the world like Saudi Arabia where some of our people are actually in literal slavery, just like back in the old days. So captivity is still taking place in one form or another, and he will gather us from the lands of our captivity. And the last thing I want to deal with, brothers and sisters, is the military action. As I said before, the only military action we see in conjunction with our return now is in Zechariah chapter 12, Zechariah 13, Zechariah 14. But in this military action, this is not a matter of going to the land of Israel and getting a portion of the land and then taking the rest of it by force and establishing the nation that way. No, this military action is all the nations coming against Israel and us defending ourselves and Yah leading the charge. Yeah, we'll be fighting too, but Yah will lead the charge. The nations will be defeated, and that's when Yah's kingdom is going to be set up. That's how the military action is going to take place. Whereas what took place over there is in the Balfour Declaration in 1947, the Israelis were actually given 55% of the land. But since then, they've taken most of the rest of it by military action. Well, we don't see that in the scriptures, brothers and sisters. So I've made 4 points to answer the question, did the true Israelites return in 1948? And so according to the scriptures that I pose to you, you tell me. You tell me. And if you disagree with me, what is the scriptural basis of your disagreement? So once again, brothers and sisters, that if you are being edified by what you're hearing, you like what you hear, you want to hear more of this, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, make sure that you hit the notification bell as you do, and share this with your friends. Once again, just partner with us to be Yah's hands and feet to reach out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And with that, I will say, Shalom.